I have been making souffles for 7 days. This is my workflow and how I got it done. I found out the best method for me is buttering your ramekin very well. You can actually butter it twice, which means you have to butter it one time with unsalted butter, chill it, butter again, and then sugar your ramekin. Now, there's no trick. Just throw in some sugar in the ramekin and twist the sugar around your ramekin until all the butter has been covered in the sugar. After that, tap it from the back to show you some money and put her in the fridge. This might be crazy, but 6 eggs in warm water. The reason behind that is because your egg whites are actually going to be far more stable once they drop to a nice warm room temperature. Now, my kitchen is actually very cold today as I'm recording this. The water did help, still very cold. Now we're going to separate the yolks from the egg whites, and we're just going to set the egg whites aside. Now, truthfully, we only need 3 egg yolks to make this custard, but we're using 5 eggs, so we're gonna use all of it. Now we're gonna use 3 tablespoons of sugar and just a splash of vanilla extract, or real vanilla if you have it. I don't, I got vanilla extract. Whisk it until it's emulsified, and I find that it's way better if you just whisk it in the bowl until it becomes nice and stiff. And by that, I mean thick. Now there's many ways of getting your egg whites to stabilize. One is by actually adding some vinegar or some lemon juice like I did for this example, or cream of tartar, which I decided to use a tablespoon. Now we're just gonna whisk it until it starts to bubble, and we're just gonna let it sit there and rest. And I personally like to think that it gives the tartar or whatever stabilizer you decide to use time to actually get in there and activate. Now I could be wrong, however, you know what, I decided to do it and it came out perfect every time. Well, for the most parts. I did mess it up a few times, but it was not because I used lemon juice or anything else. But at this point, we're just giving our egg whites a nice beating, you know, make sure that they know who's boss. Other than that, we're gonna let them chill and just set them aside. Now in a pot, we're gonna go ahead and grab a hefty tablespoon of butter and flour. Make sure it's equal parts. We're gonna start melting it in the pot and start working on a roux. Now, I'm gonna show you 2 ways I did it. One is the classic way, which is take your roux and your milk. In this case, we're going to use a 1/4 cup of milk. We're going to mix it in the pot until it becomes the perfect sauce, well, as perfect as we can possibly get it to be. Nice and loose, smooth, no lumps. After that, we're going to take our pot and we're just going to temper our egg yolks with our milk, and then we're gonna place our custard back into the pot and just bring our custard to heat until it becomes nice and thick, and of course not scrambled. We're gonna place our custard into a fridge until it becomes cold, or just leave it aside until it drops to room temperature. Now that's the classic way, which is very good. However, if you wanna do a little different and a little crazy, I decided to heat up my bechamel until it became very thick, almost like a roux, which is what I'm using right now. And just grab bits and pieces and I just tempered it this way. It does look a little different. However, it didn't scramble it, There was no lumps and it worked very well. Flavor wise, pretty much the same, exactly the same actually. The only difference was the texture between the finished product of the custard. Other than that, everything was exactly the same. This could be a cool shortcut if you don't have a pot, or if you just don't want to clean that much. Now for the most important part, the meringue. Get those egg whites that you had aside, and we can start it off by adding 1 tablespoon of sugar. We're just going to whip it until it becomes nice and soft, or soft peaks, whatever you want to call it. After that, we're going to just add 2 more tablespoons of sugar. I use 5 tablespoons total, and just whip it slowly. Don't throw your sugar all at the same time because you're gonna knock out some air and you want to keep that air. Now keep beating these egg whites until it becomes as stiff as possible. You want to get the perfect stiff peaks, but by hand with my size bowl, the best thing I could do was about a medium, medium peaks, which actually works very well. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, I don't have a big machine to make this, so I did the hard way. I did this by hand. I went over 300 eggs just because I wanted to make sure I could make the best product possible. Take that cold or room temperature custard that you have on the side and slowly add in a little bit of your meringue, and just don't be gentle, whisk it in there. You just want to get it nice and soft. That way you can add the rest of the meringue and just slowly start turning it and folding it. And just keep folding until all the meringue is gone. There's no more white. Grab your cold sugar mold and just fill it up all the way to the rim. And give your mold a couple love taps just to knock out any of that extra air you don't want. Having too much air is gonna make your souffle crack wide open. Now, with the back of your knife, scrape off the extra batter that we have on top of the mold and just run your thumb alongside the rim. You can on the side, upside down, whatever way you want to do it. The point of this is just to help the souffle rise. Now take your soufflés, put them on a tray, and put them in the center of a 400-degree oven for 12 minutes and 14 minutes. Cool note, if you want to have raspberry stripes, all you gotta do is just get a raspberry sauce, make it yourself, and while the ramekin is cold, give it some stripes. After 14 minutes, our soufflés are done.